The Chosen has officially wrapped its first week of filming for Season 4 of the show, and there are lots of interesting scenes and little details to cover from all of the videos shared from the social media team and everyone who's working and was there on set for this first week of production. Right up front, before we begin, I do want to say a spoiler warning for those of you who do not want to know what's coming up for the upcoming season. If you just want to go in blindly and not know any plot details whatsoever, then I would suggest that you do not watch this video because we're going to be talking some spoilery details, including but not limited to all set photos and images relating to Season 4 Week 1 filming for The Chosen, the first page of the script for The Chosen Season 4 Episode 1. But if you are a fan of that kind of thing, and if you want to see what is coming up for The Chosen Season 4, then be sure to stay tuned because I'm going to be coming out with a video every single week that The Chosen is filming for Season 4 until it comes out. So if you want to stay updated on all of those videos that I post, I would suggest clicking that subscribe button and turning on all notifications for Against the Current A The Chosen podcast, because why wouldn't you want to stay updated on all of my upcoming videos? And with that said, let's go ahead and roll that intro. Alright, so The Chosen Season 4, it's finally here. I am so happy that I get to finally say that. Now, I would say it's been so long since Season 3, but Season 3 just ended. And we're already going back into it again with the sleepless nights and the pushing off of relationships and all responsibilities in order to stay on top of all of this Chosen information and really pushing away any kind of social life or social interaction that I would have had otherwise. And we have a lot to cover today, so we better get started because this is going to be a lot. On the first day, we have a couple of different set photos in this location. I'll show you a couple clips right here. What we can deduce from this first day of filming is that, based on later information that has to do with scenes that they filmed later in the week, this has something to do with Zebedee's oil business, which is now kind of expanding and growing. It seems that the first week of filming mainly entails a scene where Zebedee, Big James, and John and Tamar are bringing something that's in a box to the synagogue to get a blessing from the Pharisees, and Jairus is also involved, as we see later. But on this first day of filming, we didn't get a whole lot from the first day of filming. All we got was just this location. We can also see some sheep here. Maybe sheep is a big theme of Season 4 because, as you can tell in an earlier video that I posted, and you can check that out right up there, for Episode 6 of Season 4, there's going to be a scene where Jesus and Judas are talking and having a conversation while they're looking at a flock of sheep. So maybe an underlying theme of sheep for The Chosen is going to have some kind of symbolism for the disciples, being sheep led by their shepherd of Jesus Christ. And maybe there'll be some symbolism there, or maybe that's kind of a recurring theme of Season 4, which it is kind of for the whole show, but specifically for this season, that might be a big theme. Well, on the second day, we get some more interesting clips where Zebedee, Big James, John, and Tamar are loading up stuff into this box that is being carried by a carriage in what looks to be Zebedee's expanding oil business, as you can see in this clip right here.
Sacred first fruits, holy to Adonai. The way that James has them situated, they won't even make it to the single tasting of cheese. You asked me to praise him and now you're complaining?
Recently, I did talk about Zebedee's oil business and where I think it might be going. You can check that video out also right up there. Now, this is where things get tricky because in that video, I did say that I was thinking that Zebedee's oil business would have something to do with the Garden of Gethsemane, and that's how Jesus and his followers would hang out there all the time, and how Judas would know that Jesus was there in order to come and find him and arrest him. But now that I'm thinking that it does have something more to do, since you can see in certain clips, Zebedee, James, and John mention a blessing.
We're so in it that we're just
Abbas, the blessing. We have to be there on the hour.
Maybe their oil business doesn't have really anything to do with the Garden of Gethsemane per se, but maybe it has to do with they're selling some kind of fine oil or something, and they need, or some kind of religious value that the oil has, and they need to get the blessing from the synagogue in order to be able to sell it or something. and they just have a good relationship with the synagogue, which is how the high priest knows John's family, since right before Peter betrays Jesus 3 times, he's led into the courtyard by an apostle whose family is known by the high priest and by the synagogue, as it describes in the book of John. And people believe that that apostle is John, which would make sense as to why they're having a good relationship with the synagogue, with Zebedee's oil business. Please try to stay with me. There's a lot to cover here, but I think this does have to do with kind of maybe setting up how Peter is led into the courtyard right before he betrays Jesus 3 times. But this does seem to be a pretty dynamic scene, which would be interesting to see, where Tamar is working on something in a separate part of Zebedee's, of this little area, while Zebedee and James and John are kind of loading up whatever this is that's going to be in this box, which might be some kind of fine oil or something, or something to do with Zebedee's business that is obviously expanding a lot. So this scene is definitely very interesting, and it will be exciting to see what exactly happens with this scene and what's going on here, and which episode this is going to be in, because they don't necessarily film 100% in order, so this might not even be Season 4, Episode 1, and we know for a fact that this is not going to be the cold open of Season 4, Episode 1, definitely not the opening of Season 4, which more on that in a minute. And, in Season 3, the first day of filming, they shot a scene for Season 3, Episode 3. But one other thing about this that I do want to mention from day one, from Rebecca Rose, who is someone who is on the set of The Chosen Season 4, obviously, posted on Instagram this little short video of day one of filming, which I'll play for you right now. But in this, did you catch that? There was a little clip of a baby who is wrapped in swaddling cloth, which is, not going to be Jesus, but there's a baby on set, so maybe this doesn't all have to do with Zebedee's oil business, or maybe it does. This baby has something to do with the business. Maybe he's the successor. Just kidding. This baby might have something to do with the oil business, or this might be a secret other scene, smaller scene that they filmed, because we do know that they filmed other shorter scenes while they were even in the process of filming this scene with Zebedee and Big James and John and Tamar. So I don't know what the scene is going to be, but if you have any ideas as to what this baby might be for, maybe it's a flashback to when John the Baptist and Jesus were kids, or something like that. I have no idea, but there's a baby on set, so that's important, and we need to remember that. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Which, speaking of, let me know all of your comments for all of your thoughts on all of my theories and everything that I share in this video. I want to connect with the community, and I want to hear what you guys think, because me sharing my thoughts is really just the first step. I want to join the discussion with you guys and talk with all of you wonderful people down below in the comments, so be sure to comment down below what you think is going to be happening in The Chosen Season 4 for all of these scenes that I share with you, and be sure to come back and check back every week for more discussion on everything that will be happening with The Chosen Season 4 when it comes out, because you want to be the first. So let's continue. We also have this quick little video from Rebecca Rose, who was on the set of The Chosen Season 4. And what we can see there is the well where Nicodemus left the money for Jesus and his disciples as they departed from Capernaum. So maybe we're going to get a scene with Nicodemus. This might just be the same area. I don't know. And it doesn't... I don't know why he'd be back at that same well, but that's what I instantly thought, and it seems like maybe there's a chance that we'll get some more Nicodemus this season, which would be amazing, because we all love Nicodemus and we all want to see him again. So I did want to mention this little clip as well, because it is the same well from where Nicodemus left his money. So maybe we'll be seeing Nicodemus again, and that would be certainly very exciting. Moving on to day 3 of filming, which entails Simon Z, Judas, and laundry. Yes, that is way more exciting than it might sound coming out of my mouth, because it is The Chosen, and Chosen makes everyday life very interesting to a point where it makes me have a slight existential crisis about how boring mine is. So, as we can see, there are several clips that I can play for you right now.
Alright,
Are you moving?
I was like,
what is your bit?
I would like to sit, but
where we have Simon the Zealot and Judas Iscariot down by the water. And from this clip from Jelaine and Chris, the Chosen's insiders,
And now we're gonna film a scene about laundry.
they mentioned that this filming day had to do with laundry, and Simon Z and Judas are doing laundry down by the docks. And Simon the Zealot and Judas are talking about how Judas would have handled the feeding of the 5,000, and it seems that they're talking about leftover loaves and fishes from the feeding of the 5,000. Because Judas mentions the old him would have sold the loaves, and Simon Z talks to Judas about you're asking why he didn't do it the way you would have done it. So Judas is definitely very interested in inquiring about the mind of Jesus and why he's doing what he's doing, and questioning Jesus in the scene, which is obviously why we have what's coming up this Friday. This scene, we're definitely going to have a little bit more of a focus on Judas, because he has enough questions about Jesus to have a conversation with him later in Season 4, Episode 6, which again, you can check out that video right up here. So what else is happening down here on these docks? Because there's so many interesting things going on here. Well, another scene that we know is being filmed here, right there on those docks, is a scene between Thomas and Rama as they're sitting by the docks and talking to each other. Now, this is obviously going to be continuing the plot line, which was established in Season 3 and not resolved, which was interesting to me, is that Rama and Thomas are really wanting to get married, but Rama's dad, Kafni, is not having it, and Thomas and Rama are very much trying to convince Kafni for them to be betrothed and to get married, but they're working on convincing him. And Rama has a new outfit, as well as Thomas has a new tunic underneath his coat, because everyone has new outfits in The Chosen Season 4, as they always update their outfits every season, because who wants to wear the same clothes every day? It just definitely couldn't be me with all of my Chosen shirts. Also, another thing I'd like to mention is that Barnaby and Shula are back on set, so if they're not exactly helping with Zebedee's oil business, they are definitely going to be doing something and in the mix of The Chosen Season 4. So those characters are not going away, and since they are fan favorites, it would make sense for them to return because they're very likable and lovable characters, and it's very exciting to see them return because the actors themselves have confirmed that they are coming back for Season 4. So we've got disciples down by the docks, we've got disciples helping out with oil and going to the synagogue and doing all these crazy, fancy, and amazing stuff. But what about the main man himself, Jesus Christ? Where is he doing all of this? Well, we don't get much information about exactly what's happening with Jesus in The Chosen Season 4 so far in this first week of filming, but we do get one picture from Dallas Jenkins, as well as one from Jonathan Rumi, but it's just, of him, not of any scene filming. We get one picture from Dallas Jenkins of Jonathan Rumi as Jesus, and he says he's back. That is the description. And on Jonathan Rumi's picture of himself on Facebook, Dallas commented and said, "And we started with quite a moment." Now, Jesus does not look very happy in this picture. He looks, quite frankly, kind of sad. So, my first guess anyways is that this scene would have to do with Jesus hearing about John the Baptist's death, and this is when he kind of goes off by himself to pray, and he's kind of really sad here. He's sitting by a fire, and he's staring into it wistfully. My guess would be as he has learned about John the Baptist's death. Or, now I've had my crazy theories in the past. One in particular, one was a big one, and this one doesn't necessarily have any super big evidence to go off of, but this year I'm going to be much more confident in my crazy theories, and if I make one that is kind of off the rails and really kind of seems like very unlikely, then I'm going to stick to it this time. And this seems to me, and the first thing that came into my mind when I saw this picture was maybe we'll get a flashback to Jesus wandering in the wilderness. Now, this is another scene, hold on, that Dallas has said that he would not do because he didn't want to show this particular event, but he also said about the walking on water, and now we know that we can't trust anything that comes out of his mouth. So this might be a flashback to when Jesus was wandering in the wilderness and was tempted by the devil. Just throwing it out there, just, to start more conversation and to see what you guys think. But most likely it's just Jesus learning about John the Baptist's death. So Zebedee, Tamar, Big James, and John race to the synagogue as they travel along the roads, and bring this box into the synagogue where Jairus and Yusuf have a conversation about it, and they seem to be discussing it in great detail. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly they need the blessing upon, whether it's oils or something more important in Zebedee's oil business, but nonetheless, this scene will definitely be an interesting one to see. We do have one last bit of Season 4 details to talk about, and that relates to the very first scene of The Chosen Season 4. Now, you might be thinking, how do you know this, Eli? Well, there's this picture from Mike Fogarty, which again, I am terrible with pronunciation, and I'm so sorry to anyone's name who I tried to pronounce. That is not basic, simple words. But this picture shows that he has received the Chosen Season 4 scripts. What do we see? Just peeking through barely on that second piece of paper is the first page of the script for The Chosen Season 4. And after running it through some AI upscalers and, image enhancers and throwing it in Adobe Photoshop and kind of messing around with it a lot and staring at it and obsessing over it for way too many hours than any person should ever have to stare at anything in their life, please send help. I have been able to decipher a few details from this page, specifically that, first of all, it takes place in exterior and it takes place in 4 BC, and it's hard to make out all of the exact words that are said in this piece of paper. What we can make out is there are 3 men and they're walking down the road and traveling, and they seem to be having a conversation about whether they should ask for directions or not, and they talk about the people having to pay or something like that. And one of these people is just named Man, and another one has a distinct name, but I cannot make out what this name is. But they're discussing these things, and since it takes place in 4 BC, which is the year that Jesus Christ was born, and there's 3 men traveling, and they're wondering where to go and asking for directions, I would say that this is going to be a flashback to the 3 wise men going to visit Jesus as a baby. Now, we know the 3 wise men, I think, didn't get there until Jesus was like 2 years old, because it took them so long to get there. So it would make perfect sense that this would be the 3 wise men traveling to visit baby Jesus, which would be very cool. I'd love to see the wise men because they weren't in the shepherd and they weren't in the messengers. So finally seeing the 3 wise men on screen is definitely going to be a very interesting scene, and I'm very excited to see them. So if you agree with my thoughts and think that that's what this scene is going to be, again, be sure to let me down below in the comments. Or if you have some other idea as to what this scene could possibly be, then be sure to let me know down below in the comment section, and I will be reading all of your comments and discussing with all of you and trying to figure out what exactly is happening in The Chosen Season 4, because we all want to know, and we all want to try and guess and be right, of course, about what exactly is happening in the next season of the show that we all love. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like on it, and if you didn't like this video, then please leave a dislike on this video, because I want to know how much you guys hate me, and make sure to comment down below what you thought about this video, and just any thoughts whatsoever. And these are exciting times. I mean, I say it all the time, but these are exciting times for the Chosen community. They really are. I can't believe we're at the first week of filming for The Chosen Season 4 already. You know what that means? Before we know it, we'll be at the last week of filming, and before we know it, we will be at the premiere of the first 2 episodes, which is very exciting. And I can't wait to see this season on the big screen, and what's next for The Chosen, and what exactly they're going to do, and how they're going to tackle these amazing stories of the greatest story ever told. Thank you guys. I'll see you in my next video. Binge Jesus.
I was one way